Oh no, I spilled creatine on my 3DS. I gotta go get something to clean it up. I hope it doesn't do anything weird. I'm back with a tap. It did something weird. Hi everybody, so this is a little intro. So I've spent about 160 hours with the GPD Win Mini, and in this review we're going to go over fan noise, thermals, that being just how it feels on the hands, nothing too in depth. I don't have a thermometer. We're going to go over 3 different TDP profiles. We're going to go over 8, 14, and 18 to 20 watts TDP to see how they run at that, how games run on that. I'm going to be playing a few different games, some stuff like Jet Set Radio, Mega Man, Metaphor Re Fantasio, Spider-Man. I'll have timestamps in the description if you just want to skip. Spider-Man 2, that is. The game's launching tomorrow, which by the time this video is uploaded, it'll be Friday, so the game will have launched as of yesterday when this video is out. But as for how long I've had it for 6 months. I got it on Droix. I spent about $700 on it after taxes and shipping. I've loved it, but there was a few. I'll just go over the issues real quick. 6 months in, if nothing else. One, I wanted to have a bigger battery. I understand that there's a size constraint or a bigger battery in here, or like a CPU that takes less power. I would like that, but I understand constraints. That's just an unreasonable request for me. Other thing is my triggers are squeaky. You gotta wear them in. I haven't even been using this too much. I've been busy. And the last thing that I have an issue with is just fans. My fan actually died on this one. The new Mini is supposed to have the 2025 with the AI9 and the 8840U. It's supposed to have a new fan configuration alongside a 2280 SSD, which means there will be more space on that one. And speaking of those models, I'll have the prices right here. But Droix has them if you want an extra 2-year warranty. Droix come with 2-year warranties on every single device. I'm not paid by Droix. I'm not affiliated with them whatsoever. I just like using their service because they do shipping to America, and if you have an issue, you send it to them. No shade on GPD, but they are a Chinese small company, which means if you have to ship a device back to them, you're probably not seeing that thing for at least a month. And then you got to pay shipping to and from for China. It's much easier to just go through Droix. 25 model is going to have the AI9 HX370 and the 8840U. A few days ago saying how I'm probably not going to upgrade this year. If I don't upgrade this year, or if I do, I'm going for something like the Legion Go with the Z2 Extreme, because it's probably going to be about $1,000. But if you're a hobbyist and you want the Win Mini and you want the best version there is, well, 2025 is looking to be the best, and I believe it's shipping in March. So Droix should follow shortly. But that has been all on the overview. Let's get into the actual review. Up next is I/O. Alrighty, on the Win Mini, here's what we have in terms of I/O. We have a USB 3.0. We have a micro SD card that sports up to 2 terabytes, 3.5mm headphone jack, a switch to switch between mouse control and keyboard, or to have the controller mimic a keyboard and mouse. You have USB 4 for eGPU. You have a USB 4 for charging. You have a reset BIOS button, I believe. 2 triggers, 2 bumpers. These are analog. On the inside, you got you got 2 analog sticks that click, Hall Effect 2, so they're not going to go bad anytime soon. You got A, B, X, Y, Vita style D-pad, Vita style buttons. Sorry, it's not wanting to focus. Alright. Here's going to be a test of the fan noise. Just playing something intense like Borderlands 3. And this is while it's taking up about 21 watts, which means this is taking about 14 watt TDP. Alright, to give you an idea of what will run at 9 watts, we have here Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. If it'll pop up. As you can see, we are running at 9 watts, and I'm going to turn on Auto TDP and be right back. So something like this, which is Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. It's an indie game. You can get over 60 FPS, and it's only taking 14 watts at 9 watts. So this will get you about 3 hours at 9 watts. So smaller games like this, indie games. This came out back in 2019. It's a real... I enjoyed it. So I'm just going to let the gameplay play a little bit. Show you. So we're getting anywhere between 50 to 80 frames on the high end. This game isn't very hard to run. It was a Switch game. And we're at 900. Okay, so for the settings, we are at basically high settings at 900p. I'm sure you can push to, if you go 720, I'm sure we can get at least 100 frames. Yeah, so, and it still looks good because this game was made for the Switch, and I think it ran at 720p on the Switch. But this is something you'd be expected to play at 9 watt TDP and then high frame rate. Alright, we're going to move on to the next 9 watt TDP game, Jet Set Radio. Now, I'm bad at Jet Set Radio, so this is just going to be a little test to show that 3D games do work, but it's going to be older 3D games. I also think this game is stuck at 30 FPS. But don't quote me on that. I've never played this game. I've been wanting to play it, but as you can see, 14 watts, 30 FPS. So at 9 watts, you're looking at 13 to 14 watt power draw. And while we're at the 9 watt test, we're also going to do the DPAD test. So we are going to be moving on to that next. So this is something super easy. We're on Street Fighter Third Strike, and my goodness, did that look bad at full screen. Alright, so this is going to be the D-pad test. It's not dropping inputs. You can do Hadoukens, Shoryukens. What's this one do? Hadoukens, Shoryukens. I've had no issue rolling this D-pad. It's the same one as in the Win Max, and as I said, when I rolled it in the Win Max, it was doing just fine. The buttons also feel very fine and are very good, and they're responsive. One more thing, now that I've played it for a minute at 9 watts, you can hear the fan a little bit, but we're going to take a look at the maximum of 50 or 47. And but let's move on to the 14 watt TDP test, where I will be playing Metaphor Refantasio and showing how that will run. So let's move on to that one. Fantasio, it is the newest game by Atlas. I see they got the frame rate actually up from the demo. The demo actually had issues. I did play it quite a bit on this handheld, and I could barely get 30 FPS in this scene. This scene would lag to hell, and that would be on 50% resolution scale on 400p. We're on 75 at the moment. We're still hitting above 30, which isn't bad, and 21 watts, which is going to get you 2 hours. So I would say we're at 1080p because you can't change that. But that's with anti-aliasing on. If you turn anti-aliasing off, you are going to get about an extra 10 frames. Which, yeah, I'm very impressed they actually managed to fix the optimization on this game. It ran very poorly when I first tried it, but this is actually going to be the stress test. Oh yeah, no, this is way better than the Oh, run away. Yeah, no, this is way better than the demo. I would consider this definitely playable, which is very nice because I've heard good things about this game. I still need to give it a try and play through it. I'm hoping to do that this year when I get some more time, but this has been the 14-watt TDP test. We're going to move on to the 18 to 20 watt TDP test. Show you what the TSP is, show you about the thermals. Speaking of thermals, I will be right back with those on screen. This has been playing for about 10 minutes at 14 watt TDP, so I'll show you the thermal. So as you guys can see right here, current CPU temp is 47 degrees. And let me scroll down, see if there's any other temperatures. Nope, that's the only temperature we have. So 46C current, maximum has gone to 60C. So the device does get quite warm, but I've heard they've addressed that with the new fan system on the 2025 model. But we will be going into the 18 to 20 watt TDP test on some newer games to see how those fare. Hello everybody, this is going to be Spider-Man 2 on the GPD Win Mini, proving if this game can run on hardware weaker than a PS4. We're running at 634p, but we're actually on lower than that. We're using IGTI on balanced. You try and do it at ultra quality, it's just not going to run very well. I don't think it'll be very much difference. I think we're really, I want to say we might be GPU bound for this game, but it's running. This is no frame gen, by the way, in all settings at their lowest. It's not running bad, 52 FPS, but you're only going to get like an hour of gameplay with this. This is where it's going to really test, because this is where I think he throws you across the map. Honestly, this is quite playable. I'm going to play through and beat this game on PC, and I'll let you guys know after a few weeks how it's done on updates, because I still got to beat Borderlands 3 again. But I think with a few updates, it'll be definitely playable on the at least the 760M and the 780M. Plus, you have the new iGPUs coming out, the AI9s and the Z2 Extreme. So it's definitely playable, which very surprising. I wasn't expecting this good of a frame rate. And we're not even using frame gen, which I'm not a big fan of frame generation. I'm gonna be real. It just, when benchmarkers use frame generation in their tests, I'm just like, why? That's not the actual frame rate. If you want to do frame gen for your benchmarks, show us the non-frame gen one first. Oh, here we are. We're dipping into the 20s for some reason. I'll be back when we get to a more intense scene. Okay, so we're back. And, really not getting good frame rate here. I think this is where you're going to get thrown. I think after a couple updates, it'll probably be alright. But it is getting quite hot. Let me see if this, let me be back with the 20 watt, and I'll see if it'll, help with the frame rate. Okay, we're back with the 20 watts. We just upped it 1 watt, so I'm not predicting it's gonna go very high frame rate wise. And now we're playing as Spider-Man 2 from the hit game Spider-Man 2. It's not running too bad. We're getting like 50 frames. It's just when there's a ton of particle effects, I'll have to play through the game and in a few weeks see how the frame rate's doing after a few patches. But they probably weren't too confident in the game, considering they didn't release spec sheets until a day before. And this is also this is FSR now. I'm not running. I'm no longer running ITGI. This is FSR 3 balanced. Which, I mean, we're getting over 30, so I consider this playable. It is kind of rough, but the way I look at it, it is a handheld console playing a PS5 game. Oh, here we are. Oh wow, this is handling it quite fine. I really did not expect it to handle this scene. Yeah, so I mean, I guess it is playable. Yeah, no, it looks like it's running fine. I would wait for a few updates, and if you're playing it on the 790 or 780M, which is the Z1 Extreme, 7840, 8840, you should be fine. If you're playing it on the Z2 Extreme by the time this video comes out, or the AI9, you'll definitely be fine with this. Alright, I'm going to let this play out and see how this does. And I guess I can do a frame generation test to show how it does. I don't know, frame generation, it doesn't really feel good to me, but it doesn't feel bad either. I'm neutral on frame generation. I don't like it in terms of benchmarks, but frame gen on real quick. And then that'll be the last part, and I'll do thermals, and then we'll go into the outro. Okay, we're back, and this is Miles gameplay. This is with frame gen. I'm going to turn this off, see how many FPS we get, because this was really chugging earlier. 40 FPS without frame gen. Alright, and then I'm going to turn it on with frame gen. Alright, frame gen on. We are getting anywhere between 40 to 70 frames with frame gen. I don't know, it doesn't particularly feel good, but it doesn't feel bad either, if that makes any sense. I'd rather developers try and optimize their games than just rely on tricks like frame generate. Let's go look at some thermals. Oh, another thing that was really bottlenecking it was apparently I was hitting the maximum physical memory load since I only have 16 gigs of RAM on this. This is a game that would probably be better if you do not have a 16 gig card, if you have like 32 model, but max temperature 74C, which I believe is not dangerous because it's not red, gave us about an hour and a half of gameplay. But that has been all for the 18 watt test. Let us move on to the outro. So, we've done gameplay, I've done a few audio tests, shown how loud the fan was. These are just my final thoughts on the Win Mini 2024 model, 7640U, but this can go for any 2024 model Mini, or even 2023 as long as you discount the VR landscape screen. I played about 162 hours. I added all of the games up I played. I played shooters, I played RPGs, I played action RPGs, I played a lot on it. And I only have a couple issues with it. But first, the pros. You're not going to find another clamshell like this. I mean, maybe Aya, but I don't think they're doing a Strix Point version of the Flip. And the Flip is also a lot more bulky. You're not going to find another clamshell handheld like this. You're not going to find one in this performance range, at least. If you want the smallest of the small handhelds, this is probably the smallest you're going to get. The clamshell form factor makes it really easy to just throw inside a bag and take it with you wherever. I never worry about breaking this when I throw it in my bag. So, those are a couple things that are pros for me. The other pros, the controls don't feel bad, but I have one issue with the controls. That squeaky trigger gets on my nerves. It hasn't broken yet. I've heard from other people, though, that they've had issues where it'll break. So I'll keep you updated for the 9-month or 10-month review of this. The 7640U can't really handle new games. Final Fantasy 16 was broken. I couldn't play that. Silent Hill 2, the shadows don't work and it didn't run very well. Other than that, if you want the form factor and you don't want to pay like $1,400, you can get the 2025 with the AI9 HX370 from Indiegogo or Droix. But overall, pretty good handheld. Only two issues is the battery's too small in my opinion. I would like a slightly bigger battery, which I understand if they can't do due to the constraints of the form factor. Needs a bigger battery. I would try and get at least a 55 watt in there, because this is like a 44 watt, but then we're space constraints. But the other thing is I want the build quality a little bit better, because this trigger shouldn't be sounding like this after only 160 hours of gaming. And not to mention, I've had to replace the fan on it because the fan died. It started making grinding noises. It died on me about 100 hours in. Otherwise, can't speak on the 2025 model on if it's going to have the fan issue. It looks like it's using the same triggers. It also comes in a cool light color. But overall, I'd recommend it. I like it. But this is not a handheld for the casual audience. You have to know how to tinker. You have to know how to go in and replace stuff. Because I had to go in and replace the fan. My point still stands from my last video though, my 2-ish month review. This is my favorite handheld I ever reused. It is probably going to continue to be my favorite handheld I've ever used. If I upgrade to the 2025 or 26 model, if they do a 2026 model, not officially announced yet guys, only 2025, then it's going to continue being my favorite handheld. Other than that, this handheld's got something to offer for everyone. I'll put some more pros and cons up here. And other than that, it's been Lobotomized Loki. I